Hello, you're watching Self-Reliant India on DD India and I'm Preeti. In the next 1 hour, we will talk about what all allocations have been made in Budget 2021-22 with regards to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. The adverse economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been felt by everyone, be it MNCs, big domestic companies or micro, small and medium enterprises. The government came to the rescue of this sector. Also, we know that as per the Union Budget 2021-22, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is to use artificial intelligence and also ML to reduce compliance burden on startups. What more has been put forth with regard to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in Budget 2021-22? To talk more about it, we have with us Mr. Rajesh Verma. He is Secretary, Ministry for Corporate Affairs. We will also be joined in by other guests through the show. But first of all, we welcome Mr. Secretary in the show. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this afternoon. When we talk of the budget proposals with regard to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, now the budget has proposed to redefine the small companies under the Companies Act 2013. I would want you to throw more light on the government's underlying principle, or for that matter, the thought process for hiking the thresholds for turnover and also paid up capitals.
Thank you very much. As we know, small companies are the backbone of our corporate sector. They contribute hugely to employment and GDP. The government has been taking several measures to create a more conducive business environment for such companies, including reduction of compliance burden on them. Recently, we have revised the definition for small companies by increasing the threshold limits. Threshold limit for paid up capital has been increased from 50 lakh to 2 crore. And the turnover limit threshold has been increased from 2 crore to 20 crore. This is expected to benefit more than 2 lakh companies in terms of lesser compliance burden, lesser penalties, lesser filing fees. Now, let me tell you what are the benefits of reduction in compliance burden. The small companies are not required to prepare cash flow statement as part of the financial statement. Other companies are required to provide details of remuneration to directors, key managerial persons, but small companies are required to provide details of only the aggregate amount of remuneration drawn by the directors and annual reports. Mandatory rotation of auditors is also not required. Auditor of a small company is not required to report on adequacy of the internal financial controls and its operating effectiveness. Small companies are required to hold only 2 board meetings in a year. An annual return of the company can be signed by the company secretary, or where there is no company secretary, by a single director also. So the reduced compliance burden, and with this measure, more than 2 lakh companies will be benefited.
So also, hello, sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, very much.
Yes, sir, in the budget, there was also a measure to propose the incentivization of the one-person companies. I would want you to throw more light on it. Please elaborate on it. And also, is this move particularly aimed at the startups?
One-person company as a concept was introduced in the Companies Act 2013. This measure has actually benefited startups and innovators. And in order to bring more unincorporated business into the organized corporate sector, incorporation of one-person companies is being incentivized. Now, what we have done is, amendments have been affected, and they will be affected from 1st April 21. Various measures have been taken, like previously NRIs were not allowed to incorporate one-person companies. Now, any natural person who is an Indian citizen, whether resident in India or otherwise, would be allowed to form a one-person company. Now, for being considered as a resident also, the residency period requirement has been reduced from 182 days to 120 days. Now, the rules regarding the voluntary conversion, earlier the OPC, unless it has completed 2 years from the date of incorporation, it cannot convert. Now, the conversion of OPC to a public company or even a private company will be permitted any time. Now, one-person company can be converted to private company or public company, but other than a company registered under Section 8 of the Act, only by increasing the requisite number of members and directors. Another important measure which has been taken is that limitation of paid-up capital and turnover, which is presently applicable to OPCs, is being completely done away with, so that there is no restriction on the growth of OPCs in terms of their paid-up capital and turnover. Even the forms are being rationalized. Along with these measures, what we have also done is that the fast track process for mergers also has been now extended to the one-person companies, and basically the merger of startups with other startups will be facilitated. Merger of startups with other small companies will also be facilitated in a fast track manner. This move will help first time entrepreneurs, unorganized micro and small businesses to be more organized.
Yes, also, sir, the finance minister has also specifically had talked of MCA, that is the Minister of Corporate Affairs, rolling out MCA 21 version 3 in this financial year. I would want you to acquaint us with the same, and also what new features can we expect from version 3?
As you might be knowing, MCA 21 system was the first mission mode e-governance project of Government of India. Right now we are having version 2, and next financial year, we will be rolling out the version 3, which will have a lot of additional modules, like modules for e-adjudication. This e-adjudication module will facilitate end-to-end digitization of the whole process of adjudication for the ease of users. It will also provide a platform for conducting online hearings with the stakeholders, and entire process will be electronic. Apart from that, we will have the e-consultation module also, which will provide online platform for affecting various amendments, draft legislations, etc., where the comments, the stakeholders can give their suggestions and comments. This will be all structured in the digital format. The system will also facilitate AI-driven sentiment analysis and consolidation and categorization of stakeholders' inputs, creation of reports on the basis of such analysis. Then we will have a very robust compliance management system, which will assist the ministry in identifying the non-compliant companies, LLPs, and which will issue e-notices to the defaulting companies and generating alerts for internal users. As part of this V3 version, even an MCA lab will also be set up. The function of this lab will be to evaluate the effectiveness of all these modules, which I have just pointed out, on an ongoing basis. So apart from this, what we are also going to do is V3 version will have a cognitive chatbot enabled help desk. We will have mobile apps, interactive user dashboards, and it will have an enhanced user experience with seamless data dissemination among regulators through the API system. We are also in the process of setting up a central scrutiny cell, which will scrutinize certain forms which are filed by the corporates on the MCA 21 registry and flag the companies for more in-depth scrutiny. So all these measures are being taken up in the V3 version of MCA 21.
All right, so these were the measures, but at present we're heading for a short commercial break in the program Self-Reliant India. We'll be back in a short while. We request our viewers to stay with us. We'll be back right away. Even as we speak, we tell our viewers that you're watching this special edition of Self-Reliant India on DD India, and we're talking of the budget allocations which have been put forth by the Finance Ministry with regard to Ministry of Corporate Affairs in Budget 2021-22. We are joined in by Secretary, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We're joined in by Mr. Rajesh Verma, and we have been talking about what all allocations have been put forth in the budget. Now, the Finance Minister also specifically talked of the ease of doing business initiatives in this budget, which would facilitate not only just the setting up of the startups, but also to ensure their progress and growth. Going back to our guest, Mr. Verma, when we talk of the ease of doing business initiatives, which have been mentioned in the budget, I would want you to enlist them. Also, we've seen that over the past few years, the government has made elaborate measures, has made elaborate efforts to ensure ease of doing business for these startups. I would want you to elaborate more on the specific initiatives that the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has undertaken.
In fact, many initiatives have been taken, but I will only maybe highlight a few notable initiatives towards corporate governance, to provide actually ease of doing business and also ease of living to law-abiding corporate citizens. The major initiative which has been taken is decriminalization of technical and procedure violations under the Companies Act. So this will reduce the burden on the criminal courts and the NCLT by shifting many offences to monetary penalty regime. This is a major initiative which has been completed for the Companies Act, but now we'll undertake this initiative for the LLP also. We have set up a central registration center for name reservation and incorporation of companies and LLPs, where the name reservation and incorporation is being done now in 1 or 2 days, as against earlier it was used to take 15 days. We have no fee for companies incorporated up to 15 lakh authorized capital. We have also revised the de minimis exemption under the Competition Act 2002 to speed up mergers and acquisitions of the companies in the country. We have we have in fact enforced provisions with regard to mediation and conciliation also. And the company's amendment has also been done to make the whole process transparent and non-discretionary. In fact, we have withdrawn more than 14,000 prosecutions under the Companies Act. The differential voting right provisions have also been modified to provide the promoters of Indian companies to retain control of their companies in pursuit of growth and creation of long-term value of the share for the shareholder, even as they raise equity from the global investors. The IPFA, in the Investor Education and Protection Fund Authority, has also been operationalized, and during a short time we have settled 13,000 claims for refunding back the shares of the market value, and even the dividend to the tune of more than 600 crores has been settled. The CCI, Competition Commission of India, has set up a green channel for automatic approvals of the combinations. This system has significantly reduced time and cost of mergers and acquisitions in the country. These are some of the measures. There are several which have been taken for ease of doing business.
All right, sir. I would also want you to elaborate more on what were the initiatives or what were the measures taken specifically by the ministry during the COVID pandemic time, because that was the time which was which tried and tested almost every sector in the country, almost every aspect related to economy in the country. So what role did the Ministry of Corporate Affairs play during the COVID pandemic in ensuring confidence into the companies and the corporate sector?
In fact, many initiatives were taken by the government during COVID, and the ministry has also been working relentlessly. I can only mention a few initiatives, like the Companies Fresh Start scheme we launched to provide opportunity to the companies to make good any filing related defaults, which regardless of the duration of default, so that they can have a fresh start as a fully compliant entity. Even this was extended to LLP through a LLP settlement scheme to grant similar opportunities to the LLPs. Then we relaxed time for filing of forms related to creation or modification of charges. Even the company's auditor's report, CARO order in 2020, has now been made applicable from the next financial year. Earlier, it was to be made applicable from the financial year 2021. The companies were allowed to conduct board meetings through video conference or even other audiovisual means for passing resolutions in respect of matters which were earlier required to be passed in meetings with physical presence of the directors. Similar facility was extended for extraordinary general body meetings and annual general body meetings. The enhanced period was also allowed for existing independent directors for inclusion of their names in the data bank for independent directors. Then we also gave exemption for holding at least one meeting of the independent directors in 2019-20 without actual attendance for non-independent directors. There were relaxed time frames given for creation, maintenance of deposit repayment reserve, debenture redemption reserve. Additional period was granted for filing of declaration of commencement of business. There were relaxations given for with respect to the resident director. Then there were several other relaxations given for dispatch of notices through post or courier, holding meetings through basically audiovisual means. These are some of the measures which we undertook during the COVID period.
All right, sir. Also, I would want you to throw more light on, the enactment of the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Code. Share your thoughts on how far has it helped the financial creditors. Added to that, to what extent has it lended or brought in fresh lease of life for the companies?
Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code was enacted in 2016. Actually, this was a code to consolidate and amend the laws relating to reorganization and insolvency, resolution in a time-bound manner. IBC has helped in maximization of the value assets. It has helped in promoting entrepreneurship, making available credit, while balancing the interest of all the stakeholders. IBC has been a game changer in resolution of NPAs in India. The IBC has ensured recovery, even though recovery is incidental to the process of IBC, but it has helped creditors realize their claims. The scope of IBC has now also been extended to bringing the resolution and bankruptcy of personal guarantors of corporate debtors under IBC. In fact, during COVID, we provided relief to the companies and enabled them to recover from the financial stress without facing immediate threat of being pushed into insolvency proceedings by temporarily suspending initiation of CIRP under various provisions of the code, providing permanent carve-out for the purpose of initiation of this CIRP, corporate insolvency resolution process, in respect of defaults arising during the suspended period, disallowing even resolution professional from filing application for action against the directors or partners of the corporate debtor with respect to the default arising during the suspension period. Government has also raised the threshold of default under IBC from 1 lakh to 1 crore. For among many reasons, this step will also assist and aid the functioning of MSMEs, which might face defaults owing to the economic slowdown and unprecedented lockdown.
All right.
IBC has also been recognized, in fact, let me just add,
yes, please continue,
as
sir.
a game-changing reform. India's rank in this World Bank Doing Business report in the resolving insolvency indicator has improved from 136 rank in 2017 to 52 rank in 2020 World Bank Doing Business report.
When also we talk of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs launching the new web forum, that is Spice Plus and Agile Pro, with a view of expediting the process of incorporating a company in India. Explain to us the same, and also what are the form's key features.
As a part of this initiative of ease of doing business, the ministry has, as you have pointed out, we have launched a new web form. It is known as Spice Plus, along with the Agile Pro. This is from last year February we launched this, and these Spice Plus along with the Agile Pro form actually is offering 11 services which are offered by 3 central government ministries and departments and the state governments of Maharashtra and Karnataka, thereby saving many procedure, time and cost for starting a business in India. Spice Plus, together with Agile Pro, offers services like name reservation, incorporation, DIN allotment, PAN, TAN, EPFO registration, ESIC registration, professional tax registration, opening of bank account for the company, and even allotment of GST. So these 11 services are being offered, which has actually helped in ease of doing business for the corporates.
Right, you're talking of ease of doing business, sir. We would also want to know, the companies or the LLPs that have been incorporated during the COVID period specifically.
In fact, I'm very happy to inform that during the financial year, during the COVID period from April to January, if we take, in fact, more companies have been incorporated, and more than 1,24,000 companies have been incorporated during this period, against the corresponding period of the last year of only 1,06,000 companies. Similarly, even more LLPs have been incorporated. More than 33,000 LLPs have been incorporated from April to January 21, as compared to less than 31,000 LLPs during the last year corresponding period. So during lockdown period, the central registration center of the ministry has continued to function uninterruptedly, and we have registered the companies and LLPs.
Right, sir. As your closing comments, we would want you to speak more about, apart after, even in spite of these measures which have been put forth, the efforts which have been made, there is constant thrust upon self-reliant India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is to be, achieved. So when we talk of the road ahead, the journey ahead, what are your takeaways, or what are your important concerns for the road ahead, the journey ahead? Sir, am I audible to you, please?
Okay. Yeah, audible. Can you just?
Yes, I'll repeat my question. When we're talking of these elaborate measures which have been put forth, there is constant thrust upon self-reliant India. There is constant thrust upon achieving Atmanirbhar Bharat. As part of your closing comments on the show, I would want you to talk about how, or what is the journey ahead when we talk of achieving self-reliance, when we talk of achieving Atmanirbharta? What are the key areas of concern still which need to be, taken care of?
As I said, this journey is an ongoing journey.
Yes.
And like several measures we have taken, we will continue to take measures for ease of doing business, for greater ease of living for the corporates. And in that regard, the various laws, regulations, rules, etc., whatever needs to be modified, we will be undertaking all those measures which will help in achieving Atmanirbhar Bharat approach.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on the show and sharing your insights and putting into perspective for us what all allocations have been made in the budget 2021-22, specifically for Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And you are watching, for our viewers, you are watching Self-Reliant India, a special show which we run every day, where we're talking of different aspects which have been put forth, the different allocations which have been put forth in budget 2021 to ensure achieving of Self-Reliant India, achieving of Atmanirbhar Bharat. What is the road ahead? How far have we come, and what all needs to be done to achieve this dream of Atmanirbharta? Today, we are discussing the allocations which have been made for the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in Budget 2021. Just a while back, we had a Secretary, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Mr. Rajesh Verma, putting into perspective for us, and also telling us more about what allocations have been made in the budget, and explaining to us the different measures, the different aspects of these allocations. Now, we will go across to our next guest who's joining us this afternoon on the show. We're joined by Mr. Pawan Kumar Gupta, and with him we will talk about what all has been, what next is to be done when we talk of achieving Atmanirbharta. Welcome back, welcome to the show, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. When we talk of the ease of doing business initiatives which have been put forth by the government, your opening comments in the show, I would want you to elaborate how far have we come to the day when Prime Minister, envisaged an India which which is which is a fruitful destination for investment, not only domestically but internationally as well.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. I'm Pawan Kumar Vijay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So correct me. Correct the.
I beg your pardon, sir. You were joined in by Mr. Pawan Kumar Vijay, and yes, sir. Please start with the opening comments.
Okay. So my opening comments is, whenever you are making any plan for the growth, you have to understand that what is the tool to take that growth. So the corporate India, when we are talking about the entire corporate India, majority, 95% business is run by companies. And when we are making any plan and anything which we are planning to do something, if the corporate structure is defective or it is not easy, then the growth will hamper. Now, the corporate structure include the incorporation, then running, and then closing down. The government is working out all three things. They are working out on the ease of making incorporation easy. Second, how the compliance and system can be easy so the process can be faster and without any problem. And the closing also, like insolvency, just now Secretary MCA was mentioning, the ease of doing business. These are the three things which are important, and they are working on the all three directions. Now in this budget, there are so many things we are talking about, that how the government want to infuse fund, how the private sector should come out, how the government sector, the disinvestment scheme, and so many things they are planning to do, including startup. Now, whenever we are doing something, we require some tool should be uninterrupted. So that's why they have made the definition of a small company. They have changed now. And earlier, the definition of a small company was there, where 50 lakh rupees capital, 2 crore rupees turnover was there, which they have changed it. So now the point is, it can cover more than 2 lakh companies. So all these 2 lakh companies have less compliance, and second, they have easy way to merge, restructure the company without going to the court route.
Yes.
So this is one way where the growth of corporate India will increase by doing, because restructuring is one of the important aspects,
right,
which is the tool.
All right, so we're talking of restructuring of the small companies. At this point, we will bring in Mr. Rahul Gupta. He is financial analyst. And in a while from now, we'll be joined in by Mr. Rahul Gupta. At present, we are interacting with Mr. Pawan Kumar Vijay. So when we talk of, the measures to kickstart or to further catalyze the economy, now a very important measure has been put forth in the budget, which talks of incentivizing the one-person companies, so much so that the NRIs can now also incorporate one-person companies. How do you read this, and how far will it help in particularly aimed at encouraging the startups in the country?
No, the one-person company concept came first time in 2013,
yes,
but it has not taken up too much traction because of certain issues. Now they have changed this. The first is that anybody can form, because what is happening is startup when they are starting, they are not able to find out the people who can be a partner in them, and they want to start individual. Then after some growth, when the idea is structured, then they want to take people. So now they have eased the one-person company. So anybody can form, including NRI also, because they have in the NRI, they have reduced the residential concept also from 182 days to 120 days. So these measures which they have done will definitely encourage one-person company. And now they are giving one more thing. Earlier, what was happening, if your capital is reaching crore rupees, then you have to compulsorily convert from OPC to another format like private limited or public limited. This they are giving a ease now. Now you can form any company of any limit, say 100 crore, 50 crore, 200 crore, whatever your turnover, you can keep that company in one person. That is one of the biggest relief they have given to the companies. Right. Those were in one-person company, and a startup will definitely benefit it.
Yes. All right, from here we bring in our other guest. We are joined in by Mr. Rahul Gupta, and he is financial assistant, financial analyst. We welcome you to the show, sir. When we talk of the positioning of the startups or the corporate sector in the country, first I would want you to elaborate on, we saw the way the pandemic struck almost every sector in the country. The corporate sector was hit hard by the pandemic. When we talk of, at the same time, the government also, introduced a number of packages, also brought in various measures and efforts to infuse new life into the sector. How far has that helped in in securing the sector in the crisis times of COVID-19? I am told that we've not been able to establish contact with our guest, but at the same time, I'll direct this question to Mr. Vijay. Mr. Vijay, I would want you to analyze for us how far has COVID hit the corporate sector, and at the same time, the measures which were put forth by the government to ensure that this skepticism or the fears, the insecurity of the sector are ironed out.
No doubt, during the COVID, I think all the government sector has tried to do on all aspects, whether they are giving a package to the industry, package to the business. Simultaneously, from the compliance point of view, all the government has mentioned you that they have meeting was not possible, and there is a concept of having a physical meeting. They have changed the. Now it is a board video conferencing meetings allowed. SEBI also have done so many things which are realizing that in the COVID certain things were not possible. So you can make it like posting of the notice, posting of the balance sheet, posting of the annual report and various paper. They have relaxed it that you can send it through email. So the advantage in my opinion is something which were hesitating, all the regulator were hesitated to do this. The COVID has made that you have to do it. So now this will be the part and parcel, and that's why the certain item which was happening in the meeting through video conferencing, now they are making it permanent that it can take place through video conferencing in future also. So in my opinion, government was always active, and they have done an industry whenever they have proposed to the ministry, they have changed it, and they try to do this, that ease of doing business can be easily achievable during the COVID with all the problems which COVID era has given to the corporate India, and they have done this.
All right, when we're talking of the concerns of startups here, sir, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs will be using artificial intelligence and machine learning to reduce compliance burden on the startups. Now, this also, comes at a time when the government is aiming to make corporate affairs more comprehensive and authentic.
Yeah. No, this is a very welcome movement. This is not only today, because Finance Minister has said in the budget meeting. That's why it has taken a new shape, and everybody is talking about this. Otherwise, the ministry, MCA was doing this. Now, the biggest advantage is in India today, if you incorporate a company, the repository of data is with the ROC, the Registrar of Company, through the MCA. Now, all these data which are there, it is the future for any government department or anybody who wants to do anything. The data is the treasurer is there. We have not encashed that treasurer in that sense that today, if you want to know anything about the company, you can get through this route. So they want to do data mining through the AI and various other route. The most important thing which this budget has announced and the ministry is working out, and secretary was also telling, e-scrutiny, e-adjudication, that is the most important thing will happen, and that will change the face of compliance in India, which has reached to 75%. Still today, 25% companies are not complying. So the ease of doing business will help when the compliance will be more effective. So e-scrutiny will automatically identify that where the mistakes are going on. So red alert will come. They can send a notice to these companies which are doing wrongdoing by automatic routes. That is one of the biggest thing which will change, and nobody will violate either they will form the company, and if they are not able to run the company, they will close the company. So the compliance level will be good, and that will give a confidence to investor as well as a foreign investor. And then they are planning to e-adjudication. Now they are giving so many powers to the regional director other than the court. So they are talking about the effectively use of NCLT by providing all these e-mode. But another thing is their in-house system, which has more power now, because regional director and the ROC, they have a power to adjudicate certain offense, and they are shifting from court to these officers. Now these officers, if they can make e-adjudication process, then it will be faceless, it will be easy, and it will be more compliant. So one, you are identifying compliances and then violation. Then second is how the violation can be avoided. So adjudication has to take place. So adjudication process they are doing through the e-adjudication process, which is a welcome step, and that will definitely help the entire country, and the person who has done mistakes, I can do it.
All right. At this point, we're joined in by Mr. Rahul Gupta. He is financial analyst. We welcome you to the show, sir. We are talking of the budget allocations, specifically with regard to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. To begin with, as part of your opening comments, I would want you to elaborate and analyze for us how has been the last few months for the economy, because we've seen how hard COVID has hit almost every sector in the economy. I've asked this question previously to both the guests, but I would want you to set the tone ahead and talk about the way COVID has impacted all the sectors. At the same time, the government also bounced back to bring in packages, to bring in assurances to address the insecurity of the economy. How far has it succeeded, and where are we standing right now?
Thank you so much. See, the corporate world has been hit because of the lockdown for quite a long time. And there is no doubt that revenues have fallen, and the cost, like interest and the fixed cost, kept on going on, by virtue of which the company made losses. Now the situation is to overturn for future, that in future you would be getting business, and world over is an example that anywhere and everywhere the stock markets have already breached these levels pre-COVID, and they are moving forward, looking for innovations. Because even earlier, if we see that the online aspects of communication were not that strong. COVID has turned out from a problem to an opportunity, that people are able to contact each other in much easier and faster way. As regards the agenda of today, that is the corporate, the budget allocation of Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which has reached approximately 670 crores in the present year. Well, MCA...
712, more than 712 crores.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
yes.
more than 700 crores.
Yes.
Probably it needs more allocation. As to my point of view, I believe MCA is not just a compliance body. It is a body which is to give impetus to the companies to move forward. It should be a knowledge dissipating. It should be, motivating investors, motivating these all OPCs and small companies to move forward in the ladder. Because if we don't move forward in the ladder in a long-term basis, the employment generation, what our country needs, it's important that the mid-corporate and the large corporate numbers increases, which will happen only when government explaining them, giving them knowledge and information that moving forward in business is not that difficult. So thereby adding an agenda of information, motivation to Ministry of Corporate Affairs is very important, and moving forward allocation to that is also critical. Whereas coming to compliances, so a company is required to comply with the laws relating to MCA, then direct taxes and indirect taxes. In all three of them, there are limits which are there for easy compliances. The government, as in case of small companies, has increased the capital level from 50 lakhs to 2 crores and turnover levels from 2 crore to 20 crores. On the other side, in case of indirect taxes, that is GST, such limits have also increased to 40 lakh rupees. You don't need a registration in GST if you are selling goods worth 40 lakhs. And similarly for services, it is 20 lakhs. And same way it is into direct taxes. There is a section which is called section 44AB, wherein you're required to maintain books of accounts. So in case you are paying direct taxes basis your receipts, and your receipts are less than the limit in indirect taxes, then you don't have to maintain books of accounts. So it is important that all these three laws may be brought to the same level. For example, small companies who have turnover of less than 20 crores. Same way, the alignment in GST and direct taxes also be done by the name of small companies, instead of having a different limits for all three. This is very critical time wherein people have to, a common man who's to start a company, to start a venture, he having different limits and he needing more and more information to start a business is actually leading to difficulty in starting a business. Whereas on the other side, if it is a simple level, maybe 10 crores or 5 crores, that till that level, you don't have to do a GST registration, you don't have to do heavy compliances of MCA, you don't have to do direct taxes basis your profitability. Instead, you can directly do it basis your receipts, will really make things much easier. In the present budget, the change regarding the OPCs, which has come in, wherein NRIs can also start OPCs, is a great change. Is going to make things much easier. NRIs earlier used to invest in real estate also and used to invest in businesses also. The direct investments by their name used to make it difficult for them to operate it sitting internationally. OPCs for NRIs will actually become like investment vehicles. They can push their money into those companies and then can allocate, change, withdraw, sell the assets through OPCs, will increase ease for them. And at the same time, I believe government has taken a great initiative. It is for the private sector to now bring up their management consultants, the ones who can manage the NRI OPCs in specific.
Yes.
For example, banks have their wealth management units who really help them into advising that where should NRI invest and where should he withdraw the money and where should he, how should he make his long-term plans. So probably these OPCs can also be managed by professionals for the NRIs, which will make it very easy for them sitting internationally as regards compliances and as regards fungibility of their investments. Giving an example, if an NRI has bought a flat in India, and if he has to withdraw, if he has to sell that flat and put his money in some other instrument, maybe stock market, maybe mutual funds. So in present date, his presence is required, or people issue their power of attorneys to the people sitting here. So that aspect becomes very easy by virtue of this change. The third thing which has come up important in this budget is MCA introducing version 3.0.
Yes.
So it is a time there are countries who have got their own standardized softwares, whether it is accounting, whether it is board meetings, minutes, joining through video conferences, all has been provided with a freeware platform, wherein small companies or OPC kind of level of people can use those freeware government-related softwares, government-designated softwares, wherein compliance gets into auto mode. For example, if there is an OPC and he has to do 2 board meetings in a year, so then he need not plan, he need not know the compliances, he need not go to a consultant. If in MCA 3.0, there is inbuilt software wherein you can plan a meeting through that, decide the minutes then and there, and the filing which is required at the year end can be done through that software on its own. This will really make things easy for the businesses and for the new investors at large, because giving employment is been our agenda, and the government is trying to tell people at large that MSMEs is the future.
Yes.
Those who can start their things on their own is the only long-term solution for giving bread to everyone. Instead of looking at government to create jobs, cannot be a long-term solution to the problem. Government can create a platform, but we the citizens have to work on them to really achieve the common objective between us and government. Ease of doing business by virtue of MCA 3.0, I believe, is going to be a huge impetus, and we would see the results of this once the MCA 3.0 is live. But through this method, I would like to request government that basic accounting software, basic compliance softwares like GST compliance, income tax compliance, or board meeting and filing of the returns for MCA, if that can be integrated within the government software of MCA 3.0, it will really going to make a lot of change, a lot of difference, because consultants may have their own thoughts regarding the provisions in the law, whereas if the software will be there, then it's government software. There is no.
Yes, that would indeed further strengthen compliance also. At this point, I'll bring in Mr. Pavan Kumar Vijay. Sir, when we talk of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy code then of the Board of India, then it has been allocated 39 crore rupees in the budget. Added to that, also the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code has played a pivotal role. I would want you to elaborate more on how, to what extent will it be strengthened further, and what role does it play in by the way of financial creditors realizing their dues, and also the troubled companies, or for that matter small companies. How to what extent does this code help them?
Incorporate something and you want to close it because of any reason, it was taking minimum 5 years. That was the average. It was going up to 15 years. So first is this law has come, so that has changed. And the most important thing, this law has changed the mindset of the people, those who are taking loan. They were thinking that I have taken a loan, now I can go for forum shopping and do this and then delay the process, and it was happening. So one thing is there, these cases around more than 2000 plus cases they have solved. People have realized that now the time has come. If you are not paying, then the creditors can take over your company. And the few example of Dirty 12, which we have seen, the Tata Group has taken over Bhushan Steel. That is one example where 60,000 crore rupees loan were there, and it was a smooth sailing has taken place, management and change. And because of that change, the entire creditors' money, minus whatever discount they have given, it is safe. Employees are safe, and the future of the country in that sector is safe. So that mindset has changed. Now the government is continuously changing in the insolvency law, and they are working out the pre-pack insolvency is one of the most important awaited thing which we were expecting in budget. In this budget will come, but shortly we will listen also that pre-pack budget, that is also pre-pack insolvency things will come, and that is a one welcome step where no need to go to the court. You can settle between creditors and debtor with the regulated framework, and then you can move on. So that is one very important thing. It will happen, and that will also reduce that particular the bad debt things. And the government is also planning so many new amendments. They are working out that how the business can run. If you are not in a position to run, you can file the insolvency. So they have given the option to the company can go, operational creditor can go, and the secured creditor can also go. So all three can move on. So this is one good move, and continuously development is taking place in this area which they are proposing.
Right. I would also want you to throw more light on the corporate data management scheme. Now in the budget, more than 5 crore rupees have been allocated for corporate data management scheme. I would want you to acquaint our viewers with this as well.
The corporate data management scheme is very, very interesting, because what is happening, registrar of company is a repository. If you want to know about any company, the all informations are going that place. So that data which is there, which can give you that how many company, what is your export, how much you are using electricity, what is the export, everything has to come in the annual report of the company. If that data structure the government can allow to the private sector or the researcher and other people, then this data can be utilized for the growth of the country. Today the data is used for the compliance, but tomorrow the same data can be used for the growth of the country. Now, how the growth of the country can be identified through that data? Because you know what is the turnover of companies. Now, listed company information you can get it through the various sources, stock exchange, but unlisted company you cannot get. And second, government is planning to do now this LLP decriminalization they have done. So more and more people will go for the LLP formation. And the government plan is that unorganized sector should come in an organized sector through company, LLP, and one-person company. So all three things, but all information is going to one place. So they want to plan that this data which is there, it can if you can do the data mining through AI, through machine learning, then all the information you can get, and that information you can use for the growth of the country, which is a need of the hour today. I want to produce something. I want to see how many people are there, how many installed capacity is there, how much the production is taking place. If the installed capacity is more and production is less, and I'm starting that industry, I will face more competition. All these information you can take out from that data, which is lying there in India, unutilized. If that can do the changes, I think corporate India will definitely benefit through this way.
All right, from here we go across to Mr. Rahul. Mr. Rahul, more than 3 lakh shell companies were annulled. Their names were struck off. You know, apart from rolling out a red carpet approach for the startups and encouraging, the corporate world, at the same time, an iron hand approach by the government is also required. Even as we've seen, more than 3 lakh shell companies had been annulled, had been struck off the records.
It's important that the government of India has realized in the last 6 years that there can be business failures. That's very, very critical, and there's a big change. Earlier, if a business used to fail, it used to be seen from the negative eyes, and due to which the future promotion of investors and in corporations was a challenge. Now, with government actually finishing up with the thing, these companies, 3 lakh companies, shell companies, maybe the ones which have been incorporated, people didn't find business to move forward, and the compliances might be in the old methodology, due to which they would not have continued. And government realized at one point that instead of penalizing those people, it is better to take them off records and move forward. So that's a big change. And as regards the creditors and as regards the resolution aspects, what have come in lately in last 2-3 years, and government still moving forward in those resolution modes, is a big change for our kind of developing nation. It was important to realize for some government, for someone at the helm of the affairs, that businesses can fail, and it has been realized, and there have been decisions to that aspect. So striking off these 3 lakh name is also a part of it. I see it in full positivity that government is realizing that if you fail, just move forward, take off the name out of the company's register, and probably whenever you have a better venture, you approach and you form a company, and you can approach with schemes like CGTSME, where government is really helping out people without even any collaterals. Government is guaranteeing your businesses to borrow up till 2 crore rupees. So such things would really ensure investments, would surely ensure entrepreneurial skills coming up, and people realizing that they have to create their own businesses.
All right, from here we go across to Mr. Vijay. When we talk of, the overall allocations in the budget, we're running short of time. I would want the closing comments from both of you. To begin with, Mr. Vijay, summarizing of the budget allocations for the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, your closing comments on that. How far will it strengthen the corporate world?
Government has given, the ministry was already doing that work. The allocation will definitely help for proper data, and then proper making this system like e-scrutiny, e-process, e-adjudication. All these things will help government and the ministry and the corporate world specifically, that their ease of doing business will improve. And this improvement will definitely help India to upgrade its rank by doing ease of doing business in future.
All right, so I would take that forward to Mr. Gupta as well. Would you also echo the same?
I believe that the government is going very positive. I'm rather requesting government to allocate more money to this ministry, wherein ensuring that people have ease to compliance, and at the same time promoting them to start businesses, making an outreach methodology is really going to make a difference for us in the long term.
All right. So with that, we end this edition of Self-Reliant India. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta and Mr. Vijay, for joining in and sharing your insights. So that was this edition of Self-Reliant India, wherein we talked of the budget allocation for Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the changes which have been made, the new measures which have been introduced, all aimed at strengthening the corporate world and also further strengthening the road ahead to achieve Atmanirbharta, self-reliance for the country. On that note, we'll end this edition here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.